Hello everyone. Today we shall talk about a new topic, that is how to select a research topic. The word research is comprised of two words, re plus search, that means search again. Redman and Mori, they have said, research is a systematic effort to gain new knowledge. Definitely for a scholar or for a candidate, selecting a research topic is one of the most difficult parts in carrying out research. So how we can define the research topic? And we can say when a candidate or a researcher wants to carry out research, many things comes in their mind. Let us see what are the points, what they will think. Is the topic too wide? Is it too narrow? Is there any documented research in this area? Will you be able to find enough material to use? What problem do you want to solve? What cares about this problem and why? Who cares? Who cares about this problem and why? What have others done to solve this problem and why is it that inadequate? What is your proposed solution to this problem? What is new about your approach? So questions comes whenever a person or a researcher or a candidate wants to think to carry out research, these points comes in his or her mind. Who will care if you succeed? How long will it take? How can you demonstrate that this is a good solution once you are going to complete the research? So these points comes in the mind whenever a person wants to go for research. So decision before selection of a topic, one has to think that whether the topic has to be narrowed down. That means whether topic is broad to a specific. That means if the topic is broad, it has to be made a specific. When the scope of the topic is too broad or too narrowed, it will be difficult to conduct research, right? Broad topic is also not suitable. Narrow topic is also not suitable. Too broad and too narrow. If the topic is too broad, the researcher will end up writing only in general and is unlikely to go deeper into the problem due to the limitation of time and resources. See, for the research, time limit is also there. And if anybody is going to choose the too broad topic, in that case, it is very difficult to complete the research within a time frame. If the topic is too narrow, it becomes difficult to find adequate literature, which is necessary to describe the background of the study and to identify the research gap. So too narrow and too broad, both are not correct. It is necessary to narrow down the broad topic to a specific topic that is suitable for a research. So topic should be scientific, practical, social or personal relevance. It is important that the topic has scientific, social or practical relevance or is useful to other researchers, practitioners and policy makers. These points has also be taken care of while thinking about selection of research topic. Research can be conducted to solve the practical problems of the industries. Many industries have different types of problems that can also be taken as a research topic. So, selection of topic either for a PhD work or for a research proposals, right? We shall discuss both the points. Whether we have to carry out PhD or any other research project. That means So selection of right topic definitely is the first step for the research. In case of PhD, if the scholar for a PhD program, a scholarship for a PhD program is funded from a research project, then the candidates have to carry with the already identified topic and the objectives. That means here the scholar has to not think about the selection of topic, because topic is already identified and the project is already funded. So selection of topic is not required. Second point, we can see the supervisor may suggest some research topics which may be an extension of his prior research. In this case, supervisor may have knowledge about the topic and researcher may get support from him. This also be beneficial. So in this case also, topic selection is not required, because it is the extension work of the supervisors. The third point, which is very difficult, research scholars can select their own topics. This is a difficult situation. In this case, how the topic can be selected? See, in these 2 points, topic selection is not difficult, because the candidate has to work under the funded projects or under the guidance of supervisors who knows the topic, right? But this third point, research scholars can select their own topic. It is a difficult thing, sir. See, the next point, in case of research proposals, in this case, what happens normally? Thrust areas. So PhD work we have seen in the previous slide. The second is the research proposals. A researcher can check thrust areas for research on the website of various industries. So to select the topic, sometimes a research scholars can check the thrust areas on the website of the different ministries. So their topic is already given there, and on that topic the candidate has to start work. The candidate has to start research work. These topics are related to various latest problems being faced by the industries. Based on the problems, a researcher can prepare the project proposal and submit it. So topic is already identified in the form of a thrust areas. Sometimes industries also send their problems to the research or academic institutes. The thrust areas are given on the website of the ministries, and sometimes the thrust areas directly industries also send to the concerned to academic institutions or the research institutes. So suppose you are going to get the research projects. What I'm trying to say here, suppose you are going to work on the thrust areas, which is already mentioned. So in that case, topic has not to be decided, because the problem is itself a topic for the research. So what benefit will be there? You can become a project leader, right? Once you are going to work on that topic, and parallelly you can also get your PhD degree. That benefit is there. So suppose you have already taken the topic from the thrust areas. So what you have to do? You have to prepare the project proposals, right? And that project proposals you have to submit to the concerned ministry. So what we have to do? A researcher should present the work among the professors, scientists of the different research academic institutes. So once you have completed the project proposals, you have prepared the project proposals. That project proposals you have to defend among the professors and the scientists. So depending upon their consent or approval, only you can get the projects. So once you are going to present your work, In that case, what happens? Or at the time of defending your projects, they can also suggest you for the deletion of some unnecessary contents or incorporation of new idea in the proposals. This is also possible at the time of defending. Once the contents of the proposals are finalized, then it could be forwarded to the concerned ministry for its considerations. That means you have to present the work of the ministry among the group of a professor and scientist, right, constituted by the ministry itself, and once it is approved, then finally it is sent to the ministry for the approval or the considerations. See, while preparing the research proposals, many things you have to keep in your mind. It is necessary to assess the feasibility of potential topics, whether the project can be undertaken with available resources in terms of manpower, time frame, financial equipment, and other facilities. See, whenever you are preparing the project proposals on the identified topics or on the identified problems, and you are working in some academic institute or research institutes, you have to think that whether the sufficient manpower, time frame, financial, right, or other facilities are available or not, or that's why it is written there, whether project can be undertaken. If the facilities are not there, in that case you can quote the requirements, manpower, financial in the project proposals. We should know that the research studies are time bound. Sometimes researchers have to deal with the uncertainties that affect the project schedule. Suppose you have got the projects, right? You have got the projects, and the project may not be, sometimes due to some unavoidable circumstances, project may not be completed within the time frame. So in that case, you can take the extension of the projects. Now, research scholars can select their own topics. So what we discussed in the previous slides, that for the PhD, if you are working under a funded projects, right, there is no problems. If your guide give the topic, in that case the problem is also not there. Sometimes you are going to get the research projects from the ministry, right, based on your project proposals. In that case also, topic is selection is not problem, because topic already you have chosen from the thrust areas. You have defended the project proposals and you have got the project from the ministries and you can start work. There is no problem. But the next case, which is also very problematic, if research scholars can select their own topics. Suppose the researcher is independent to select his her own topic. In that case, it is a complication. Then in that case, what they have to do? So let us see. First, they have to think about the area of interest or topic of interest. They have to choose the potential topic of interest so that researchers continues being motivated to successfully overcome problems that are generally encountered in the course of the studies. So if the area of interest, you have chosen the topic from the area of interest, in that case there is no problems. So how we have to proceed the topic selections, right? If researcher has to think independently to select the research topic, what they have to do? First, they have to go for the area of interest. Researcher interest should either be in the core discipline or in closely related discipline. This is also possible. Or interdisciplinary research is now encouraged. Nowadays, interdisciplinary research is encouraged. So within the specification, a standard and the standards set by the institutes. So what further work has to be carried out for the selection of a research topic? Conduct literature review. Exhaustive literature search like dissertations, theses, scientific reports, conference proceedings, journals, etc. should be carried out. Knowledge gaps and recommendation for future research are mentioned towards the end of the specific report, thesis, dissertations. The recommendation for future research are normally mentioned right at the end of this report or thesis or dissertations, and in the journal limitations are also given there. So this will give an idea for the finalization of the research topic. We can also select the topic through the Google Classrooms. We can take the help from the Google Scholars. Google Scholars, see, sometimes on the Google Scholars some papers are highly cited. So we can, and definitely that cited papers are from the area of interest or the topic of interest. So that paper we should download it and we should read it to find out the gap. Discover latest research in journals, conference proceedings, and do not miss to quote the latest references in your literature review materials. Whatever the literature materials you have collected or you have written, you have to quote the latest references, important, right? Next point we can see, attend conference seminars. In this case, what is going to happen? Attending presentation and discussion and recommendation of the seminar conference will give you an idea about the current and future requirement of the research. Sometimes what happens, if researcher who is presenting his or her work in the conference or seminars, on his work many experts are there in the conference. They used to ask the questions, and that questions may be the gap which can help you for the selection of a research topic. You can also discuss or you can approach to the authors who was presenting his research work in the conference or seminars. He can also help you. Build an academic network within and outside your university. Connectivity, network with the people. The researcher can interact with fellow students, seniors, as teachers who can stimulate innovative ideas. So this can also help you in selection of research topics. If possible, visit nearby research and academic institutes to know what others are doing. So that can also help you. Discussing with colleagues who have worked in the area may also be helpful. Attend as viva many as you can, right? Attend as many viva votes as possible, because the discussion that occurred during the dissertation oral defense may open up the eyes for the potential topics. That means whenever, see, dissertation viva is going on or dissertation presentation is going on or PhD presentation is going on, many people used to ask the questions, because the answer may not be available in the presenter thesis or dissertation. So that idea can also help you, right? That's why it says that attend as viva many as you can. So organize some brainstorming session in group of 4 to 6 knowledgeable people to get a few specific areas of interest and think on the ideas generated. This is also possible. Brainstorming system can be organized, right? And those people can also guide you in selection of a research topic. But suppose these people are suggesting you some points, right? Some they are giving some ideas, new ideas. We should not be afraid, right? That's why it is written, go out. You should not be afraid to go out from your comfort zone a little bit. So once you are to complete the literature review, then what you have to do? Write a report on literature review. It is strongly suggests that at the end of literature search, you should write a report with methods used for literature search, their findings and identified knowledge gaps. They stimulate the discussions and other colleagues. What has been done till date? So everything you have to mention in your report. And what has to be done further is the gap. These gaps, many gaps will be there that will work as your objectives. So once you are going to write the gaps as in the form of your objectives, the topic can be decided. So after the objectives, the scholar has to think how to do it. That means methodologies, and then sequencing, phasing, scheduling, and output should also be clear, right? You have chosen the topic, you have, suppose you have written the reports. Based on the reports, you have also found out the gaps. Those gaps are the objectives. Based on the objectives, you have finalized the topic. Then how this work should be carried out, what will be the output. So everything should be clear. Without adequate knowledge, it will always be difficult for an investigator to defend the originality of their research topic in front of review committee. So suppose you are going to, once you have finalized the topic, you have gone through the literature review, but if you don't have sufficient knowledge, whatever the literature review you have made, you don't have ideas, don't have knowledge about the contents. In that case, it is very difficult to defend the first RDC, right? The first meeting, it is very difficult to defend because you don't have knowledge about the literature survey or the whatever the literature you have carried out, you don't have complete ideas, right? So next point we can see, identification of PhD supervisor or a guide is also a very important parameters. In most higher education system, whenever you are going to submit the application for PhD, registration is accompanied with the proposals. At that time, the candidate has to identify a supervisor whose main role is to guide through the data registration process. Every PhD student has a supervisor from the same department. In case of interdisciplinary work, the student may have co-supervisor from the other department. Part-time candidates can have co-supervisor, usually from the research institute or company where they are employed. Suppose you are working in non-academic institutes like research institute or any industries, you can have one co-guide from that institutes. So now we can see this quadrant. Figure shows a matrix for choosing a topic and a supervisor, considering the candidate's involvement in the topic and involvement of a supervisor. These two things are very, very important. You can see the level of supervisor involvement and the level of student's involvement or the candidate involvement. See, 4 quadrants are there. Quadrant 1, 2, 3 and 4. Quadrant 1, which is called as mentoring, represents the best option as the involvement of both supervisor and the scholar in the topic is high. Whenever you are going to select the topic and supervisor involvement and the candidate involvement is very high, in that case it can be considered as a best options. Second quadrant you can see is the next best option if the researcher is capable of working independently with minimum support of the supervisor. You can see quadrant 2. Here supervisor's involvement is low but candidate involvement is high. So this is also the next best options. The third option you can see, quadrant 3rd, is the apprenticeship is not a good option. The PhD scholars who depends upon the supervisors expertise may not try to work independently. You see what third quadrant says that here The supervisor involvement is high, but the candidate interest is very low. So in that case, it is not advisable, not a good option. Quadrant 4 is not advisable because the scholar has limited interest in the topic and supervisor has little involvement. So low and low, both are low. So it is not advisable. You can see sometimes it is said that uh, some supervisors are not good. What the Martin has said, although most supervisors are honest, there are examples of exploitation of Ph.D. students by their supervisor. Therefore, try to investigate the track record of the faculty member before choosing someone as the supervisor. Now we shall go for the next topic, that is the friends, the essence of topic selection. See, it is also one of the ways of the topic selections. By using these parameters, the friends, acronym friends, which is formed by using the first letter of the word, indicates the essence of topic selection criteria. So friends, F, feasible, relevant, interesting, ethical, narrow, discipline, supervisors. So while selecting the topic, these parameters should also be taken care of. What it says that the words on the right side indicate details of each word given as a left hand. So these are the details, right? These are details. So while selecting the topic, this friends formula can also be used. Now I would like to match this this friends, right? The friends with one of the example. Actually, this example, what we can say that the topic was already identified from the thrust areas, right? So topic was already identified. The problem was already given by the industry. So let us see what is the topic, and this topic, actually here topic has not to be decided. The problem has already been given in the form of a thrust area on the ministry website and blasting dose management, and this problem was also sent to the concerned institutes or in the institutes where the researcher was working. So he made a project proposals on this topic or on these problems, submitted to the ministry, and ultimately he got these projects. So in that case, topic selection was not a problematic thing, right? So how this friends is going to match with this example or this topic, let us see. It is going to be compared. This problem was available on the website of ministry, and a letter was also received about this problem to the institutes where a researcher was working. Actually, the researcher was at that time MTech, he was not the PhD. So let us see the first point, the friends, among the friends, first letter is the feasible. Project proposals, because the topic was already identified. So the researcher prepared the project proposals consisting of manpower, time frame, right, financial, equipment and softwares, right. Researcher capability, the researcher had already worked in one of the project related to blasting. The researcher were working in one of the research institutes, and he was also working one of the blasting projects. So he was having the idea about the blastings, right? He had also experience to understand the environmental problems due to the blasting in open cast mines, as he worked in pollution control board. So researcher's capability, we can say that he was having the experience in one of the research project related to blasting, and he had worked in pollution control board. Next is the relevant. You can see the relevant includes scientific, practical, social and personal. The blasting dust as a practical and social environmental problem surrounding the area. So it was a relevance, blasting dust problem. The people who were living surrounding the mines were facing the blasting dust problems. So the topic was also relevant. You can see that due to the blasting, the coal dust was also going to be emitted into the form of a dust, which can be considered as a national loss of minerals. Topic had scientific relevance as there were no any method for the environmental management of blasting dust. So relevant, this topic was also relevant, we can consider here. The next point we can see interesting. A researcher, as I told you, as a researcher experienced blasting dust problems while working in pollution control board. Hence, he had interest, passion and curiosity to work on that topic. Motivation, researcher or the candidate got highly motivated by his head of the department or the head of the institute, right? That's why it is written here, motivation by the head of the department and the institute was highly appreciable. So we can see the interesting, how the interesting is also, the eye is also going to match with his project topic. Ethical obligations, as we know, ethics tend to be based on moral obligations, but put a professional spin on what is fair, right or wrong. Ethics refer to principle of rules of behaviors that act to dictate what is actually acceptable or allowed within a profession. Ethical guidelines for the conduct of research will vary by professional code, discipline area and institutions, but generally cover the following areas. The first, ensuring respondents have given informed consent, ensuring no harm comes to respondents. This includes emotional or psychological harm as well as the physical harm. Ensuring confidentiality and, if appropriate, secrecy. That means confidentiality involves protecting the identity of those providing research data. All identifying data remains solely with the researcher. To secure storage of raw data, restricting access to the data, the need for permission for subsequent use of data, and eventual destruction of raw data. Right? Honesty and integrity in conducting research. So here I would like to say that the researcher selected two locations for his experimental purpose, and the ethic was fully maintained by him during carrying out the research or the experimental study. Right? Ethics was properly followed. The next point you can see, narrow. The topic was specific as it was given as a thrust area on the website of the ministry. So it was a specific topic. It was not too broad, too narrow. So the researcher had to not bother about this. The researcher got the topic directly from the thrust area of the ministry. He prepared the project proposals and got the projects from the ministry and started working on that topic. So what we can say, the topic was already specific. Now discipline, the topic consisted of civil and environmental engineering and mining engineering. Here I would like to say the researcher who worked on that topic was already having the civil background, M.Tech in environmental engineering from the mining institutes. So there also he studied the mining subjects, though he had also worked in one of the blasting projects. He worked in a state pollution control board. There he visited many open cast coal mines. So lots of experience he was having. So all the disciplines actually the researcher was covering. So this point is also going to match, right? Discipline problem was not there with the candidates. So next point we can say, this one of the last point, the supervisor. The researcher was the project leader in this project and also registered for Ph.D. because at that time he was the M.Tech So he became the project leader, and parallelly he also registered for the PhD. So as I told you in the beginning, that it is a good benefit for a researcher who wants to carry out research, who wants to get the PhD degree. For them, once he is going to get any the research project, so he can be a project leader as well as he can carry out his PhD work. Hence his involvement including guides, hence his involvement including guides supervisor very high. His guides, because here guides were the head of the departments, head of the institutes, right? Motivation from the head of the institutes. Supervisor was also highly he was also highly motivated. He also motivated to the candidates, right? So all were highly involved in this case. So the candidate did not feel any problems. So what I was trying to say that the as example of a study on blasting dust management system with the friends. So this is all about the topic, how to select a research topic. Thank you.